Doubleheader on a Tuesday? Sure, why not? You have tuned into another Woo transmission. Now, a little preamble before getting this episode kicked off. I should note, I have had a few kind of politically incentivized videos of late and philosophical. This one's getting back to the woo, okay? So understand these are just my beliefs. This is information I receive from downloads, which, I'm constantly trying to refine, understand, and better interpret to offer utility to people who may be able to draw insight from these ideas, irrespective of whether they're completely true or completely false. The idea is to help people think bigger, right? It is to share ideas which might trigger that little moment of inspiration, that little insight that, fills in that piece that they've been missing, right? So prior to getting started, so I've got a funny comment to share from you. So I posted a free will video the other day. And so this is just a warning for anyone ready to have a little dig. It's more than welcome. But the example I'll provide. So I had a wonderful commenter, YOLOMon, commenting on my free will video the other day. It goes as follows. Your delivery is that of a 5th grader's class presentation with the confidence of a postdoc student. How the hell can you attempt to tackle the broad, ludicrously demanding topic of good and evil without citing literally a single ethicist or philosopher? Seriously, any indication that you read anything on the brutally complex topic and aren't just given your milk or toast troglodyte opinion would make your drivel videos far better. I'm just going to guess you're a Redditor based on the egoism alone. I'm pissed that my algorithm even recommended you. Takes a Redditor to know one. Anyway, point of me sharing this is, you can throw around all these fancy words that you learned this week. But by just throwing abuse at someone without actually offering any reason as to why their argument is incorrect, it's pretty ignorant and it looks silly. Okay? So, look, if you're going to abuse me, bear in mind, I'm completely unoffendable, so have at it. But at least offer the audience that chooses to read the comments some insight as to why I'm wrong, and not just cause spread division and hate. Again, this goes back to the unoffendable thing. When you can acknowledge, accept, learn to love and integrate the worst aspects of yourself, you then become the best version of yourself. And so you become unoffendable, because either what people are claiming you to be, to not be true, so why would it bother you? Or you've already accepted it what is, and it is what it is, So it's just a funny one. If you're going to have a go at some of these arguments, and again, I welcome open discussion. That's the whole point of this. I'm open to being wrong. So if you can prove how I am wrong, at least I learn. So do me a favor instead of just abusing me. But if that's what you choose to do, then I'm sorry that you're taking that out on yourself, because it is just a subconscious projection of that. And bear in mind also, not citing a single philosopher or ethicist, I don't adopt other people's opinions or theories as my own. I come up with my own. I use my own fucking head, right? If you're just adopting other people's ideas and beliefs, are they yours? No, you're just a pawn. Moving on. So this one's going to be quite up here, just a warning. We're going to be talking about the understanding the duality of nature. So the primary forces which come as a dual force within nature from creation, okay? And also we'll be touching on, again, which I've mentioned in a previous video, the idea of babushka dolls of consciousness, right? So this is a very ancient Hermetic principle, dualism or polarity. It's essentially the same thing. Basically, no one's watched the video on where I've kind of gone into this, how energy divides into sound and light. I recommend checking it out. It's got like 50 views and it's actually really good. But I will do a quick recap here. So, understanding we are pure energy, okay? That is what everything is. Everything stems from energy. And I'll touch on this again in a little bit later. But in order for pure conscious awareness, pure energy itself to manifest into what we experience as material space-time, it divides into two. Now, this jewel, has many aspects to it and kind of subsidiaries beneath it, right? So, initially, you have sound and light. These are the two primary forces of energy, okay? Now, sound is the feminine principle. It's magnetism. It is matter. It is, in a scientific term, these are longitudinal, scalar waves. This is responsible for gravitation. It is the negative against the positive. It is the in breath, okay? Now, the polarity to this is sound turns into light, okay? Now, this is the masculine aspect. So again, I've mentioned before, we live in a magneto-electric universe, in my beliefs, not electromagnetic, because magnetism is the primary, and I'll explain why in a second. But you have light, masculine. This is electricity. This is what permeates through light information into matter. So light is like the projector, and matter is, say, the earth, right? But you need the earth before you project the information into it, okay? The matter, the feminine, is the primary force. That is why it's magneto-electric, okay? Now, this is what we'd recognize as transverse waves, sine waves, okay? This is radiation, the polar opposite to gravitation, okay? This is the positive, the exhale to the in, right? Now, gravity is something I want to focus on here. We, in our current scientific model, a lot of people still subscribe to Einsteinian relativity. Now, this is deterministic science, which is verifiably false. You know, quantum mechanics demonstrably proves that we are in a probabilistic universe. There is no such thing as a particle, really. It is an oscillating energy field, okay? On and off. But gravity, okay, so Einsteinian physics stemmed from Newtonian physics. Now, a lot of people will know this story. Many people won't. How Isaac Newton actually discovered the idea of gravity, so it goes, was sitting under an apple tree one day, and sure enough, an apple fell. So he goes, there must be a primary force, an underlying force, which brought that down, okay? Where he went wrong is, with a little more patience, a little more observation, that energy, the apple is energy, everything is energy, that energy would fall to the ground. It would then transmute into gases, which rise. The seeds would fall into the ground, and another tree would birth. This is the in and the out. Everything has an up and a down. Life and death are the same thing on opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So what goes up must come down. Now, we've been stitched up on this idea of trying to solve gravity. Now, I'm not a physicist. I'm just sharing this information, a way to look at it, a lens in which to see gravitational force as a product of magnetism, whereas radiation is a product of electricity. And this is demonstrably true. I mean, that isn't controversial to say that radiation is a product of electricity, okay, of light. Light radiates. That's why in Egyptian mythology, Ra, the sun god, that's where we get the word radiate from, right? So, just food for thought. I'm still working through all this, you know, and I could have waited longer for another download to gain more insight, to refine the idea a little more, but, you know, I'm happy to share these things to get people thinking. In that gravitation and radiation are one and the same thing on opposite ends of the spectrum. How we can practically use that to ride gravitation or use gravitation to our benefit remains to be seen. I mean, some people might already know in the deep state, but, you know, these are just ideas. I'm just sharing this, so if you want to fucking have a go at me, have at it, or whatever. Faster than light. Now, this is really interesting. So, if we can demonstrably prove that Newtonian physics and Einsteinian physics are false, or not as true, then, okay, can something travel faster than light? Now, the whole idea that nothing can travel faster than light is that space is a vacuum. And sound, the scalar wave, longitudinal waves, can't travel through a vacuum. But taking someone like Tesla's model, and I think he might have been onto a few things, the guy was really there. And I believe this, and so did the ancient Greeks. I mean, every ancient civilization believed in this, in that there is an ether. There is something that connects us all. Okay? Otherwise, quantum entanglement can't exist. And we can prove that it exists. So if that exists, then there must be a there. That is a fabric of this reality, of this space-time, which is purely conductive, in which everything connects to the other. Okay? So what this means is scalar sound has the potential, or can, and I don't know this to be true, but I'm sharing these ideas with the reasoning behind them so other people can either prove me wrong or prove me right. Okay? Sound, scalar waves, travel faster than light. So that whole idea, and this is again, this comes into the programming of education, into false science. We get boxed into this idea that, if we truly believe that nothing can travel faster than light, then we won't go looking for it. Because we just accept someone else's word for it, okay? So this is the point. Can it? I don't know. I'm not claiming I do know, but I'm sharing ideas which I really hope will help people think differently about these things. You're only limited by your own perception, all right? Now, I've noted the idea of babushka dolls previously. So, if everything is conscious, okay, we exist in consciousness, we are consciousness. That means down to the single cell in our body, it is conscious. Our cells communicate with each other. Are you consciously breathing? I mean, sometimes I am. Are you consciously processing booze in your liver? Are you consciously beating your heart? No, but these little babushka dolls keep fractalizing up and they make up the whole. Now, this keeps going until we get all the way to cosmic level consciousness, right? And so the idea is, under quantum mechanical law, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Well, not necessarily, okay? Because unless something is observed, the observer effect, something is perceived, then it remains just probability, okay? You don't know, Schrodinger's cat, okay? So the idea is, we live a subjective experience of our own reality. We are creating, manifesting our own reality. We are projecting our own quantum field in which we observe and perceive. This is the collapse of the wave function in our immediate surroundings. But our field exists within a bigger field. That might be, say, like the Earth. And the Earth's field exists within the sun's. And the sun's field exists within the galaxies. And the galaxies exist. You get the idea, okay? So this is just an interesting way to look at how as above, so below. So within, as without, This is the fractal nature, the holographic fractal nature of reality. All right? I don't have too much more to add on this. I think just, I'd love some feedback, What are your ideas? How do you feel about these things? Do you have any insights to share with me to help me better refine my thoughts, my ideas? Can you demonstrably prove me wrong so I can just put them aside and move on to the next one? Or can this offer you an insight to help further your own understanding? This is the idea here, okay? We're not here to fucking have a go at everyone. We're here to share information and open discussion, fair debate, philosophize. The philosopher is the lover of wisdom. Lovers of wisdom don't just rubbish any other new idea. They investigate it. They find out for themselves because you can only know through experience. Okay? So just because it doesn't make sense in the current model doesn't make it so. Alright? You have to test these ideas until you can demonstrably prove them false. So, we'll leave it there. Woo-woo. Woo-woo.